Ready to get into it here for
Yep.
episode 2 of the Peak Performance Podcast. I'm Profnyan.
And I'm Tiyo.
Incredible. Jumped right in. We hadn't done that before.
Yes,
So
we're
good at
so good.
this.
We
Coordinated from
yeah.
the beginning.
We haven't even
and what
practiced it. Let's go.
and what we wanted to talk about today was mostly our history with getting into speedrunning Celeste. How we got into it from the beginning. I kind of wanted to start it with how we got into speedrunning at all. Like, how did you hear about speedrunning, Tio? How do you find out about it?
How did I hear about speedrunning?
Hmm.
That's a good question, honestly.
Do you know?
Because I have no idea how I heard about speedrunning in general. Because you maybe GDQ, but probably I think I heard about it earlier as well. Yeah, I think I just I just probably YouTube recommendations or something, or I know about speedrunnings like probably since 10 years. So I can't really remember how I actually uh heard about speedrunning in general.
Yeah, I can't say for certain where I heard about it, but where I actually started getting interested in it is something I could talk about it. Not even necessarily interested in a way where it's like I'm speedrunning things on my own. I just meant interest as in watching it. Like in the middle of 2020, so a few months before I started myself. Like when, just barely post COVID, and then everybody's, having trouble finding stuff they want to do. So Twitch became a place I was hanging out at, and I ran into a lot of Super Mario 64 speedrunning going on. How was that period for you? Like when you were getting interested in watching it?
Okay, that was with SM64 as well. Prob Honestly, I can't even I don't even know how uh I think um I think I just saw a Let's Player play the game, and I was like, oh, sure. I think there were speedruns for this as well. Let me look at it, and then I uh saw on Twitch like Cheese and who else, I don't know, like all these big SMC4 streamers that was at a time, I think, when Cheese was going for the 138 120 star.
Mm.
So that already is nowadays it's pretty far back, I think.
Yeah, yeah, that's quite a bit far back in the history. I'm actually not sure when that is
Uh,
myself. It's
was that
definitely before
five
I was watching.
years? No, that was four.
You could pull up the
True,
stats page or like the
I
history if
can.
you'd like to take a look at that right now.
I
Um,
will. Well, I can continue
yeah,
talking about it a bit more, but um, yeah, I thought it would be cool, so I played through the N64 version casually first, and got every star because I personally like to complete a game before before starting speedrunning it, and yeah, and after a while I got into Celeste, but that's
way. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know if you I can, you know what, I can talk a bit more because this is the long those are like a few years until Celeste, right?
Yeah, yeah, go
Um
for it.
so so I played Celeste, and I played SM64 speedrun casually a bit. I even got a sub 2016 star, which is pretty decent, I would say. Um but yeah, I heard about GSA at the time, and saw Celeste there. I saw Cheese, who was the biggest Celeste speedrun Celeste, and I was like, if I have the chance, I am definitely gonna give the game a try because Celeste looked really cool from my casual eyes at the time. Um, but yeah, then it was free on Epic, and I was
Mm.
so happy. And then I played through Celeste.
It's always about the sales, yeah. That's how I got it too. When I actually bought Celeste. It was half a year before I played it. I bought it in December 2019, so the Christmas sale on Steam in 2019 was when I bought it. And I didn't
Hmm.
play it for half a year. I didn't I didn't really know anything about Celeste. I just knew that I'd heard good things and I looked like briefly into it. Like, yeah, I'll buy that. That seems like fun, whenever I get around to it. So, took me half a year to dive in and then get fully invested and have since spent over like just about 2 years playing it since then and almost nothing else. Um, but as for how I got into speedrunning in the first place, personally, for me again, it was, yeah, about mid early 2020 was when I first started actually watching it. I'd known about it as a hobby for probably a year or two before then, just hadn't ever taken steps in that direction myself.
Hmm.
Yeah, like probably learned about it in early 2018 at some point, but like this is if we're going back into that period of my life, I was still big on FPS games like Overwatch. I wasn't really doing anything I'd be speedrunning. I was like playing competitive games and multiplayer stuff.
You were
Not as much speedrunning typically in those.
you were pretty good at Overwatch, right?
Yeah, not as good as you were at CS:GO, but I got to in season 8 of Overwatch. I got to Grandmaster playing Tracer,
Yo.
and that was a lot of fun. I loved
Mm,
Tracer back then. But the following season they introduced Brigitte, and I stopped having fun, so I quit.
fair. And
Yeah,
and because you mentioned CS:GO, I can talk about that because I don't know how many people know about this. Like a lot, it's pretty common knowledge, but probably not that common. So right now I have 7,700 hours in CS:GO. I
big
think
number.
I don't know.
It is almost an entire year.
Yeah, and I started playing CS:GO in very early 2015, and I played every evening, honestly, until
Oh wow.
um or nearly every evening until last year, I think, actually. So I still played a lot of CS:GO while I was still speedrunning Celeste. Mm,
Mm. So you started playing in like 2015? Do you know about what month?
uh, at my birthday, so February 23rd.
Is that when you got the game?
Yes, I got it as a
I
birthday
see.
gift, or I bought it as a birthday gift because I got because normally it's just I get money and I can choose what I want.
Happy birthday. Play some Counter-Strike 2015 to you.
But yeah,
And
I played I got to phase level 10, like global elite, of course, phase level 10. I always played with friends and a team. I play semi-competitive. Nah, semi-competitively is not as high, like amateurish. Let's say amateurish, but still high level amateurish. Um, and uh I played, I don't know, uh ESEA intermediate, I think, or something.
mm,
Um,
yeah, ESCA and Face It were the two kind of big ones for amateur, like just trying to poke at
yeah.
high level competitive, right?
Yeah,
Steps in
exactly.
that direction.
Yeah. But I know not I was not that interested in breaking into pro play because I knew that it would be cool, but at the same time I knew it would just be so much effort,
Yeah,
and I personally knew I would probably not find it fun after a while, even though it would be cool at the same time. But yeah,
yeah,
I
it
was
takes a lot.
yeah, takes a lot of effort and grinding, especially normally to get recognized. It's really hard for a player like me because I was nearly always a support or the Inge leader shot caller of my teams. Like one of those. So,
Hmm.
and those are the most underrated roles in general in shooters, I think.
Yeah,
Because yeah,
you're not flashy at all. You're just keeping things running, and the assists for with like flashbangs and stuff. It's possible to be able to see the impact from that, but I don't think CS:GO in particular does a great job of like showing that.
yeah, thing is, Flash, they added flashbang assists in the kill feed at some point, and they added in general, um, how many people you have flashed, I think, on the scoreboard
Hmm.
and stuff. Um, but even
Okay,
so,
so they did get around to
yeah,
like taking steps in that direction, showing the more assistant side of things. That's
yeah,
good.
um, yeah, but even so, like just the thing outside of the game, like preparing strats and going over with your team with them and practicing and adjusting if something doesn't work properly and stuff like that, which is most of the work, uh, like most of the work for an in-game leader is outside of the game, um,
Mm.
or at least outside of a real official game.
Yeah, yeah, it could be in scrims
Yeah,
and trying to figure out exactly how you're holding or defending or whichever. You'd phrase it better than I would, but I think I have the idea there.
yeah, exactly.
Like your routines for, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. You want certain routines and some routines are just invisible to the naked eye. Like
Mm.
um I don't know, for some maps, if you rotate like the old cobblestone, um I think you played a bit of CS:GO, right?
Yeah, yeah, I played for a solid amount of time. I think I have like 1,200 hours and I peaked DMG.
Okay, nice.
So like a decent chunk. But that was in like 2015. So I suppose around the same time you were starting, but I just stopped instead of continued to go.
But yeah, the old cobblestone, for example, I remember there are ones that normally for for our teams then at the time, uh we just vote we first on C. I personally like CT a bit more than T, which is strange, but you can do a lot of things on CD actually. But even so, um, like rotating when do you want to give up this side and when you rotate to the other side if you like for of course focus and have the weapon out, but for sometimes if it's safe, just immediately hold out the flashbang and ask if and throw it if you think they're gonna come, because sometimes it just and call out that because sometimes you want to skip the step of asking if they need one and they responding, because then
Yeah,
sometimes it's
sometimes you
just too
need
late.
that time.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. To be fair, I think I'll go into way too much in depth because I could talk for an hour just about CS:GO here, and I don't.
Sure. Yeah.
um, but yeah, what I want to talk about, I played some um online tourneys, and I was on one LAN tourney,
Ooh.
um and I play um and we got crushed by a semi-pro team, but at
Do you
least
remember the team name?
yeah, it was Big Academy. Um um but
Big Academy.
yeah, big yeah, the big clan is the big is a pretty big esports org for
Ooh.
CS. Yeah, and
So
the
they did
can
make their way through. After crushing your team, that was the first step.
no, but it was the academy team of them. So so that's still pretty good. That's still very high level in German CS. Their academy team, or at least it was at the time. I don't know if it still is because I have not kept up to date with them. Um, but yeah, we won a round and we were just screaming and just so excited about just getting one round. Like we sounded like winning a major tournament. It
Gotta
was
take what victories you can get, you know.
yeah, yep, yep. It was so fun. Oh god. But
Doesn't
yeah,
matter if you're getting crushed the entire rest of the match. You got that one round. That's a win. Win in those books.
yeah. But honestly, playing these competitive shooters, you can still apply some of the mentality things to speedrunning as well. I would say.
You mean like some of the mentality you learned about practicing for like CS:GO that transferred over to Celeste?
Yeah, for example, practicing and no and nerves, for example, how to deal with nerves because you are often nervous if you if you,
Mm-hmm.
if you play a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, especially
Yeah, I am familiar with that side of things.
yeah, especially because we got streamed pretty often because Division 3 in our German league was is still pretty high. Um, there are like 7 divisions, I think 6 or 7. Wait, 7. It's 7. So the third is so being in the third for like for like I don't know 6 7 seasons or something. I think I played in that division. You get streamed a lot and have and you're often in these clutch situations, so you have to deal with nerves. I was not that great often with nerves, but you definitely learn how to deal with just the standard nerves of getting restreamed, for example, which happens
Yeah,
also.
yeah. Nerves of being in front of an audience there.
Yeah. Like for example, in Celeste, I'm not nervous at all when I get restreamed, or barely nervous. It depends.
And you think that's because of the exposure you had to it previously, or
I'm,
do you think it's just because of being, well practiced?
I actually think it's because of the exposure before. Because I'm pretty, I like
Hmm.
even with well practiced, I don't think it's uh I personally know myself well enough that I would still be very nervous. I was still nervous at the first time because it's still different, but I definitely could get in the groove more easily, pretty immediately because some people are just shaking doing the whole thing if they're not used to it. And I think for me it was like city only most of the time.
Say, having played Overwatch, clearly not as far as you went with CS:GO there, but having played that competitively and actually trying as hard as I could and like practicing outside of actual competitive matches and stuff, that I can I can feel like how I first was starting to become like serious with learning how to improve in games. That's like a really big
Yeah,
skill that I didn't realize was important. But it's coming to mind right now. Like it's not exactly the topic we were on, but how knowing how to improve in games is so huge. It's
yeah,
it's like not only are you learning how to play whatever game you're playing, you're learning how to improve at things in general.
yeah,
And if you can get better at that, you can get better at anything.
yeah. Also,
So that definitely started for people with
mhm,
whenever they put a huge amount of hours into one thing and you're optimizing every little way of how you play something, it helps to have that mindset to carry over into like any other game.
yeah. Also, for example, actually focused practice, at least for me, for me and CS:GO, like our team. Like for example, if we were really bad at retaking a side, we try to play a bit more safe and fall back, and then in scrims, and then practice retakes for a day or something. So actually, like focusing on specific things you have to practice instead of just aimlessly aimlessly grinding and thinking, yeah, you get better by just playing more. Yeah.
Definitely. Just having the experience is huge. But there was an initial point that we were on that I think we sidetracked a bit from here. What was
Yeah.
it? We were we were starting with what how we got into
How we got
speedrunning?
into speedrunning, yeah.
then we like went into the whole tangent of how we were as just competitive gamers.
Yeah.
It's nice, but
But we
okay.
talked about that enough, I think, about the how we were as competitive gamers.
Hmm. Yeah. I think for Celeste speedrunning itself, I I'd always enjoyed sort of speedrunning games without realizing it was speedrunning. So what I mean by that is if I go back into the days of when I'm like 9 or 10 years old, and it's kind of what was my introduction to speedrunning as a concept without actually knowing it as a hobby. But Mario Kart Wii was the first game that was really big there for me. So Mario Kart Wii, I did time trials a lot as like a 9 or 10 year old kid because I was just obsessed with that game. I loved it so much. I played it all the
Yep.
time. But I my proudest achievement from there. I don't even remember what tracks they were. Could not tell you what tracks they were. But I had a ninth and 11th place time trial on a couple different tracks on the very old Mario Kart Wii built-in time trial boards.
Yo, let's go.
Yeah, so the origins of profnyan as a speedrunner date back to then. Just didn't know it yet.
I think my
And
oh yeah,
go ahead.
continue. Or if you
Uh,
or were you
I'll
finished?
go. I'll go. I'll go.
Okay. Yeah.
So I guess there were a few steps along the way since then of times I'd been doing similar things.
Yeah.
Like, there's games always have, or not always, but often have achievements of here, do this thing fast. And I've always loved doing those challenges in particular. Like for example, with Fury, it's Furi. It's this game where it's basically just there's some story, and most of it though is you're this dude trying to break out of some planetary jail by fighting multiple like bosses in a
Hmm.
row, pretty much. And one of the achievements for that is beat the game faster than this certain developer or that certain developer that had some certain time, and that's kind of like here, do some speedrunning type achievements, and that was really fun. Then there was Titan Souls, which was this kind of I think it's like isometric is what you call the camera angle. You're a little archer, and it's another game that's just bosses, entirely bosses. And there was an achievement for beating it in under 20 minutes. It was the kind of game that takes if you're really good at learning and improving at it, it probably takes about 3 to 4 hours to beat your first time. And then I think for me though it was like 10 hours my first time through. But getting it down to 20 minutes, that was another huge step for me in just trying to do speedrun type stuff with games without realizing it was speedrunning. Except I think that by that no, oh wait, no, I remember now. Okay. So that was the point where it was the first time I realized what speedrunning was. Because I looked up from then how people beat the game fast. I had found
Oh.
speedrun.com and I
Hmm.
was like referencing actual speedruns, but not even having the slightest idea of submitting because it just didn't even occur to me that I could be a speedrunner. I was just like, oh no, I just wanna watch what other people are doing and learn from that for the achievement. Just wanted the Steam achievement.
Yep. Yep.
So that's how my earliest steps towards what speedrunning is at all like. But then with Celeste, it was just bought the game like I said, the winter sale for Steam, like Christmas sale in 2019, and
Hmm.
I had it until 20 mid 2020, like somewhere around June 2020 was when I first played the game, and ever since playing it from the very beginning there, I just loved everything about it. I loved the music, I loved the game feel, I loved the story. Not everything about Celeste just drew me in completely, and I just could not stop playing it. So ever since then, it's been constant Celeste speedrunning from me.
Yeah. Nice. I think as a kid I like also like to go fast with Mario Kart DS. I didn't have a Wii.
Hmm.
But also just the normal New Super Mario Brothers games for the DS. Um, I
Did
just
they
some
have time trials?
no, they didn't have, but
Oh,
I just wanted to go through the level fast. Uh,
Yeah, it's
like
it's still gonna be fun no matter what.
yeah,
It's the whole point. So it's kind of like almost a cop out to say, oh, you want to go through these levels fast. Like when I was talking about Mario Kart Wii time trials, it's a little bit of a cop out because yeah, the whole point is it's a racing game. You're going
Okay,
fast,
yeah, yeah, fair, fair, fair.
but it still counts, kind of.
Yeah,
I count it.
I think I beat one ghost or something as a like time trial ghost as a kid, and that was me be and I was very happy. I didn't grind that much for it, but especially because I think our R button, I think, on the DS was not working properly, so I couldn't drift properly. Um, but yeah. Also for Celeste, I think for me, I think it was the Epic thing, the Epic free giveaway. I think was in summer of 2019.
Hmm.
So I played through the game 100% casually. I had such a hard time beating this game casually.
I think I really did too, but I'm not sure. Do you remember how long it took you to beat the main game by any chance?
Sadly, no. I have no idea.
That's all right. Yeah, it's been a long time. Um, I just I think I had a little bit of a leg up there because of having played at least some platformers in the past. Like not a lot, to be honest. I had not really played too many platformers. Like I had a few 3D platformers that I had enjoyed. Um, Super Mario Galaxy was up there. I was a big fan of that one.
Yeah.
That's like a big part of my childhood there. And then the big one that stands out to me though is Little Big Planet.
Oh.
It's not
Hmm,
strictly a
hmm.
2D platformer, but that was sort of my beginnings of playing platformers at all. So that would be the first steps I ever took in the direction of a game similar to Celeste. Because even though it's not strictly a 2D platformer, that is weird thing where you have multiple layers. So it's like 2D, 3D halfway mix, or it's still a side scroller. You just have layers you can go forward and backward in.
Yeah.
It was still platforming, and that was
Yeah.
that was fun. Good
Uh,
introduction. Celeste
yeah.
speedrunning itself, though, like how. Oh yeah, we wanted to talk about our history just as early speedrunners in
Yeah.
Celeste. So what was some of your first speedrunning stuff? Did you go through any percent like most people do?
Um, I first I learned like I played through the game, of course. But then I learned search skip only, and then I did an any percent one,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like a 1 hour 36. It's still on my profile if you go to obsolete ones.
Mm-hmm. Take a
Um,
look at the oldest of Tiyo speedrun. Exciting.
but yeah, after that I went through Proc's tutorial. I think sometimes uh I think at some point I just went and did another run instead of going through all of it. I think I went through half of it before actually
Mm-hmm.
doing another one. But yeah, I like the next attempt session I got sub hour.
Okay, so over half an hour in improvement.
Yeah.
That's pretty huge right there. Yeah, when I first started, I think the time I'd ended up. Yeah, okay. I checked my Steam achievements recently just because I wanted to confirm this. But the time I did my first speedruns, first actual speedruns of any percent, was while I was stuck in Farewell, having not a good time. I think in Event Horizon, I think was where I was stuck. So after the Heartgate there, so I just got frustrated. I was playing Farewell like in 4 hours at a time, greater chunks, and then getting really exhausted from it. Like, wow, this is so hard. I just needed a break. So I tried my first any percent speed runs from there. My first one ever was an hour 16 minutes, um, and second one was like 58 minutes. And I hadn't started doing like watching tutorials yet, but I think I got like search skip was the one thing I'd looked into to get sub hour as well. So that's always the seems to be the biggest first step anybody takes, which is good.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, sometime after that, between finishing Farewell and playing a few more runs, I started learning from the programmatic tutorial too. But I'm wondering your timeline with Celeste speedrunning when you kind of went more fully into it, because you said you were still taking CS:GO seriously.
Yeah, I was taking CS:GO seriously until summer of last year, actually. So I already had sub 30.
Oh, so yeah, it's been a long time that you took it through all the way through with alongside Celeste. Was it after that point, would you say that Celeste has like fully definitely been your main thing since then?
Thing is, I knew it before, I think, which was one of the main reason I decided to quit actively playing CS:GO because I I just wanted to focus more on Celeste because because I only practiced CS:GO for our scrims and stuff like beforehand. Like we did warm up and looked up stuff. Like I didn't play much outside of scrims. So I already knew I should probably stop CS:GO.
Mm.
Yeah, because most of my free time I already spent playing Celeste.
So it was like CS:GO, you were still playing just because it was the thing that was serious for you and you were just kind of hanging on to that at that point. Like it was just
Yeah,
comfortably something you were good at,
yeah,
or what?
yeah. I was completely good at it, and I still like the game a lot, honestly. But at some point, if I'm just playing it to, I don't know, because I used to play it and stuff. I don't know. It's without any real motivation. You should just move on.
Hmm. Yeah, I still enjoy Overwatch a lot too. So similar in that vein. After like a 3 year dry stretch, like you took part in this a little bit and was playing a little bit more Overwatch recently. I've been playing Quick Play since then too. So
Yo.
it's nice to still appreciate the games that we that we really started to try and be competitive from. It's nice to come back to them every now and again, I would say. But Celeste has totally become the big thing. Like been the full 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 thing ever since then for me. Like almost all of my free time has been going into Celeste lately, trying to get ready for 100% runs. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I believe you. Did you um wait, you said you looked into Proc's tutorial. Did you look into it after sub hour and then only played any percent after practicing everything, or how did that go?
I kind of did them at the same time. Like the way that I went about learning it was I was let's see. I remember my PB times. I had that so that hour 16, then I learned search skip, got a 58. Then from there I think I just did a few more runs before actually learning anything. Got like a 56 and a 53. And once I'd reached 53, I'm like, okay, this is the point where it's starting to get harder to do things on my own. And I went ahead and looked up the tutorial series. I looked at resources. I think I'd asked for help probably about like where should I start, and got referred to it. I'd have to like check my message history in the Celeste Discord, go all the way back, but who knows if I'd be able to find it even if I did that. But anyway, I found Programmatic's tutorial series, and I was learning that, playing through, you know, I think City and Old Site I learned. And then maybe it was in the middle of Resort learning or before I learned Resort that I just did another run. And it just kind of went like that, where I'd learn a level or two and do another run without without actually learning the levels after that. I'm surprised I actually was able to do that, because if I try doing that right now, like with 100%, where I haven't learned 5A all the way to the end to core of the A sides, I would not be happy. I guess it's just the perspective has changed so much where my standards are a lot higher. But back then, still on the nearly casual perspective of it, being a speedrunner with a time like that. So I learned things slowly, programmatic tutorial going on, just like level at a time. And I think the time that I had finished learning every level was I was getting into mid 30s. Yeah, yeah, I had a 37, 33. That was the first run, maybe first couple runs were like 39, 38, 37 after I had completely learned from the programmatic tutorial. Um, and then I got this big like 2.5 minute PB somewhere in there to try 35, 28. And after that, I took a break from any percent and started figuring out ARP tutorial stuff with, well, I guess you came in a little bit later, but yeah, I hit up Sickly Jack and Zeneros. I was like, hey, you want to make an ARP tutorial? This seems like something the community could benefit from. Because
Benefit.
I want to learn ARP. That was how it started. It was like I want to learn ARP, and there's no tutorial. Let's figure it out ourselves and make one.
uh,
Great idea, right?
Before you talk about the art tutorial,
Hmm.
I wanna ask, did you submit the first ones you did?
The first 80% runs I did.
Yes.
Um, I think I submitted like my 56 or 53 way back when, but it was unsubmittable. I didn't know how overlays worked back then. I had my controller overlay covering the version number in the bottom right. So
Oh no.
after that, I made it, like only 50% opacity, so you could see through it. But I was like total beginner to OBS at that point. I basically never really used it for anything aside from put a game there in full screen and then that's it. Desktop audio and a mic. Nothing special, just that's all for it. Never really streamed, never really did anything except for that.
Mhm.
But I later I think I don't know when I did this. It might have been post ARB tutorial like early 2021 where I was just like looking at my times on speedrun.com and seeing, oh no, it wouldn't have been early 2020. Maybe, well, no, maybe it was. Okay, I think I got the idea of what happened. So I removed my runs from speedrun.com, all my old ones, because I was just kind of disappointed with them. And like now, wow, my standards are so much higher than this, and I for some reason just removed them. Kind of regret it now. It would have been cool to see the history,
Yeah.
but I think it was when I swapped a keyboard. I just had this idea in my head, like I am a new new Celeste speedrunner. We're changing things around here. So I removed my old 2 hour clueless ARB submission, my like all of my any percent times, 35 minutes up to like what I think it was probably 47 was the slowest submission I had at the time. And I just removed all those. Don't remove your PBs at anybody listening. Keep them
Yep.
on there.
Yep.
It's good to see the history, I swear.
Yeah. Like I personally I don't understand removing your PBs because because it's so fun sometimes to just look at your profile and just see the history you have with the game.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because
In
I
hindsight, I
yeah.
did not like do. I don't think it was a good idea at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I look at this and just because I submit nearly every PB, if I don't get a better PB at the same day. Um, and yeah, it's very nice to just see this journey. Like yeah,
Yeah.
my first one, September 2019. But yeah, how did the ARP tutorial happen? Or how
How it
did that go?
started. Yeah.
How it started and
Yeah.
how how it came to be that I um did something instead of Jake.
Okay. So the way that it all started was, like I said, I wanted to learn all red berries myself, but there was no tutorial for it, and I was still in those early stages. This was only like, let me think here. Like mid to late August was when I wanted to start learning ARB, and I tried to find at least some content on it that wasn't just watch people's runs. And all I could really find was at the time Bub's ARB guide thing existed, his thing on GitHub that's just lots of visual cues for advanced strats. But that's not like a full-on tutorial explaining things. And I would not have been able to figure out a lot of the movement and stuff necessary in nearly the same speed as I did with a programmatic tutorial. because when you have somebody's whole tutorial series right there for you and they're explaining what's going on, it makes it a lot easier to make those connections when you're a newer player. Whereas like now that we're experienced, obviously we could look back at somebody's run and say, "Oh, this is exactly what's happening here." Like 99% of the time, just understand it and then use that ourselves. But with as totally newer players, like way newer players back then, that's a lot harder to do. So I just wanted a tutorial series and it didn't exist. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna try learning some Aurora berries myself first in the hard way, watching people's runs, maybe asking Spirit on help every now and again. And after doing that with city Aurora berries and finding that to be just like a lot of fun, I was really enjoying ARB. I thought, hey, I am enjoying this so much, I want to full commit to a tutorial series, like make that for other people to enjoy this category too. So at that point, again, I'd only learned City Arb. This was all I had, all I had to my name at that point, and I'm already like, okay, let's figure this out. Let's make a tutorial with other people. So I just thought, who have I seen on Twitch or wherever that I know would be interested in this? And at that point, I'd already had a little bit of speedrun, like friendly rivalry stuff going on with Zenaros and Jake, I think, or at least knew that they were people who were pretty cool that might be interested in making something like this. So, I just DM'd them both on Discord asking if they'd probably be interested. And got positive responses. So I was like, yeah, let's figure this out. Got a whole Google Drive set up, got a little Discord group chat, and started working things out from there. Um, Eventually, though, I don't know the full details of his exact reasons, but I think it was probably just related to college and time and it just not being easy to manage all that. So Jake could not follow through with it. Um, yeah, like early on, he wasn't able to do much work for it either. So he had never really made too big of a contribution aside from like contributing some of his thoughts, and that was fine. We weren't doing too much back then. But that was how you came in, Tiyo. So do you remember how like I first messaged you about that? I don't remember exactly.
I have no idea, honestly.
Okay, that's fine.
We will.
It might be
I can.
some
I
of our
can.
first DMs.
I can.
Hold
I can
on.
check. Wait. Wait. Wait.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead and check.
Uh.
But I
Oh. Okay. No. Okay. Our first DM was you sending me something about 6B. Okay. Interesting. You sent me. What are you sending me here? Feather skip?
don't know. Digging deep into
Yep.
the
Yep. Yep.
archives
Yep.
over
You you
here.
you you sent me how to do. You sent me a clip of how feather skip looks like. Let's go. But in 6B. But yeah, after that, the next DM was you asking me in November, 7th November 2020, asking if I would work on the app tutorial. Honestly, we were really fast on this, weren't we, compared to the B-side tutorial?
Yeah, just because the B-side one didn't really have a good motivation, I would say. We didn't we didn't really I didn't feel like following through too much on it, and the rest of us, it seemed like we were having not as much free time as we did for the ARP tutorial either. So we were really, really all in on the ARP tutorial,
Yep, yep, yep. Because
when I
for
remember.
for for here the viewers right now or listeners, uh, we started planning or without me again the B-side tutorial series, um, pretty soonish after starting the plans for the ARP tutorial series. So the ARP tutorial series was not even out, but we started looking into the B-side tutorial series. And the B-side tutorial series was released a year later after the ARP tutorial series. So yeah, you know how big our motivation was here.
Yeah, I think it was probably like in October, November-ish, and the reason that planning even had started for that was because had been I had made like my first tutorial with City Aurora berries and realized that with like the next levels I had coming up, I didn't really feel comfortable still making videos or like tutorial videos. So I with that first draft, essentially, maybe it was even like second draft or something of the city ARP tutorial already done. That one was like 42 minutes, so that was pretty long. It's longer than it should have been.
Yeah, and
I didn't like that. I wanted it to be a lot shorter and more condensed. So what I did was I thought, okay, well, I know that I'm enjoying B-sides right now too. So I was playing like 6B, 7B, and 8B. So I thought, all right, I'll just try and make tutorials for those levels instead, as a just like a little aside here to then come back to actual ARB levels and do better there. And that was really how the planning started. I just made tutorials for the B-sides as a way to practice to make tutorials for the ARB levels.
but
So
yeah,
it wasn't really planning, it just kind of happened.
yeah, but you had who did you have on for the B sides? I think Zeno and Chris at first.
Yes. Yeah. Zeno and Chris. Ickle Chris.
Equal
Love him.
Chris. Shout out to Equal Chris.
Shout outs
Love
to
him.
Ickle Chris. Great guy.
Yep. But I don't think Zeno learned any B sides still. I know. I think. Oh wait. I think Zeno should have done 2B, not 2B. Sorry, 5B, and you would do 6B, 7B, 8B, and 4B, and Chris should do 1B, 2B, 3B. I think that was the original plan.
Yeah, I
Um,
believe so.
yeah, and
It
then
just
yeah.
Well,
Uh,
I don't think 4B was in the original plan for me, but that just kind of happened eventually because I played it,
yeah.
the whole however long later
Honestly,
when
yeah,
I
could
went
could
for like
be,
the
could be, could
244.
be.
But it's just funny to me that I wound up doing all the longest B-sides because those are the ones I decided to learn. Like,
Yep.
I don't know why I started with that, but I know 7B in particular, I really love the level casually, so I wanted to learn the speed run there. So that's why I did 7B. Then I just decided to do 6B and 8B as well. I think 6B because it was related enough to ARB to say, okay, I could probably include this in the ARB tutorial. And then who knows why I played 8B? I have no idea. No clue. Why did I make that decision? I enjoyed it, but at the same time, I know everybody was saying 8B sucks. Maybe I just wanted to prove them wrong.
Uh,
I'm gonna have fun with 8B. You're all wrong.
I can't I
Maybe that
can't
was the
I
thought.
can't remember honestly. You probably mentioned maybe if you probably didn't highlight like streams of that part because who highlights I like Korean streams, but you probably mentioned it in one of them surely. Um
Yeah,
but
I
yeah.
did have a couple streams back when I was actually running 8B because what I did back then, this was still when I was playing controller, by the way. So just quick details. Again, I started in like June 2020, and then I've been playing ever since to now, March 2022. But I swapped from controller rather to keyboard at the beginning of 2021, just about. So that was in let's see here. That's right, right? Yeah, yeah. Okay. So like January 30th, 2021, somewhere in that period of time, like late January 2021 was where I swapped to keyboard. So it's been a very long time since then. I've been played several thousand hours of Celeste since then, and this time that I was playing 8B was still back when I was on controller before that.
Yeah.
So I had a few streams where I just was doing 50 no resets of 8B for some reason I decided, hey, I just want to play 8B like nonstop. And I did that for a few days. I think at some point there, that might have been something I talked about where you just mentioned like why I picked 8B. But I can't remember anymore. And I did not highlight those streams. That would have been cool to look back at. But, you know,
Yeah.
you don't think about these things in the moment.
Yeah. No, nobody highlights Korean streams, to be fair. But yeah. Things I remember about the ARP tutorial making was I the only thing I really clearly remember was you in 7A for the flag 21 berry trying to show the really dumb old fast way of where you like grab the wall then hold right or down right, I can't remember. Like after
Oh
grabbing the
yeah.
berry and then climb jump and then
Hmm.
right dash, like climb jump off the very little corner with the spikes and then right dash to the crumble blocks and Zeno and me both were like, no, please do not include this. This is way too hard for the tutorial series.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was messed up. I don't know why I was set on that because like you're trying to grab a wall for a visual cue while the wind is pushing you down, and then I don't know how many pixels you have for that, but it was not that comfy. I kept saying, it's got to be a way to make this work. No, just go back to the spring,
Yep,
you
yep,
know.
yep.
Thankfully nowadays there's that cool thing that Hyken found where you
Oh
just
yeah,
kind of it's like you demo into the ceiling and then you just get for free sub-pixels where you can jump off the spikes on the floor down below.
yeah. You have to fast for though, but yeah,
Or well, yeah.
yeah. You have. It's like free. It's so good. Such a good strat. Oh, I love hiking.
Thank you, Hyken. We love
Thank you,
Hyken.
hiking. Yes.
We love Hyken on this podcast.
Yeah.
I
Also,
was gonna
we.
say on this Twitch stream for a second. Like, no,
You're
we have
not.
OBS open, but it's
We're
not the
not.
same thing anymore.
Yep. We are not streaming. Um.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, Uh. I think in in late November, I think we had the idea of maybe releasing the Art Tutorial series at Christmas, I think, right?
Yeah, we had that somewhere around there, somewhere around point of somewhere in mid late November. I'm betting we could check at some point, but that's not too important. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and then we had to crunch to actually get out all the tutorials in time, especially I think the 4R one was done the day before Christmas.
Yeah, we didn't really help you out there by inviting you in so late rather to
No,
the
it was not that
whole
late. It was
deal.
at the
But
beginning of November, right? I just was
yeah, but
procrastinating a bit.
the first making of the idea was at the end of August.
No.
So
Yeah.
it had been 2 full months since we had started working on it. Just about, or wait, no. When did we invite you in again?
Uh, beginning of November, I think.
Okay, so all of September and yeah, it was about 2 full months
Yeah.
before we'd brought you on that we had been at least working on it in small ways. So it was later generally. Could have been enough time if we managed it well, but it doesn't always work out when you're doing these casual projects that you're doing for free and for fun. That we got it on the Christmas deadline. We managed that. That was nice. You know, the whole here's a Christmas present for the Celeste community. That was cool. I'm happy we did that.
Yeah. You grinded 8B at the end of the year, I think. Was it at the end of the year? Yeah, probably, right?
Somewhere around there. It was, I think, probably the week following the release of the ARP tutorial, and maybe the first week or two of um, January, probably. I could check my
Okay.
PB history for 8B. That would be indicative. I'll do that really quick here. Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
see. Delve into the archives real quick. Show me your obsolete runs, speedrun.com. Okay, so the date. Oh, wait, no. Entirely wrong. November 3rd. So I was doing that like end of October, beginning of November was when I had the no reset grind.
Okay.
So that was the same time we were bringing you in then, just about. Hmm. Okay, so I guess 8B was part of that. I'm taking a sidestep and making B-side tutorials for fun. Then when we invited you on, was when we started getting into it more, getting back on track there. Yeah, I'm happy we did that, honestly, because having made the ARP tutorial forced me into a position where I actually had to understand the game a lot better, and it made me realize that I enjoyed doing that a lot. I enjoyed knowing things inside and out and being able to talk about them. So that was a lot of fun, and even just Celeste in general has like speedrunning Celeste in general has taught me how to learn things better just because of how much time I've put into it, all that grind. made me realize like, oh, this is the way that I learn things well. So just like particular habits of practicing and learning. It
Yeah,
was good
nice.
putting that much time into this, honestly, for that reason.
Yeah, which then led to you getting second place of 8B, but the 8B boards at the time were very empty.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, there were
Uh,
13 runs. 13. Not kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's wow.
I think even Chai got faster times in full game. But
He had similar, at
or
least.
similar.
I think he
Yeah.
might have had a high 3-2x at best.
Yeah, I think high 3 to
Yeah, he
X.
was he was basically matching my PB, and Chai just didn't submit some of his full game ILs, which is it's fine, not a big deal.
But at the same
Um,
time, I would wish to see the else like the cleanest else of Chai without looking through the full game runs.
yeah, it would be nice. But it's been long enough since then. Coral's come through and done his own sweep,
Yeah.
so there's some more reference material out there. I'm trying to get my own out there now too. What with having played every level almost, just got a few more full clears to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
But yeah, and then in January, at the end of January, because I'm seeing our message history, um, was the time you were first place of 8B.
oh yeah, that's a story probably for next time right there, I think. The whole well, no, actually no, we could go over that.
We can go over
Yeah.
that. We have
We'll
time.
we'll, we'll make
I
that
have
kind of
time.
what we're ending on here, I think, because we've been going on a decent amount of time here. But yeah, well, let's talk about that here. So, basically, what happened was there was this very, very talented B-sides runner, auroradash, who had top times in so many of them. Like had the first sub 4 6B. So that one was huge. That was a very, very big milestone to be met there. Also had the first 3x in 4B. So at the top of 4B as well there, with a 239.
Had the first sub 2 in 3B.
Or sub 2 and 3B. Yeah, so pushing all of like the big B-side barriers there. I don't know about 1B, 2B because at least Zcad was interested in 1B for city reasons. Um, yeah, 2B I don't recall too much though. Uh,
Can't
did
remember.
Aurora have the first OX in 5B?
Maybe? Would make
This is
sense.
something to check here. Well,
I know
no, that would
like
be a little bit harder to find out.
7B OX. I know 100.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the 608 in 7B when second place was like a 629 or 627 or something.
Yeah, I think.
So this massive gap was
Yeah, I
over
think
there too.
Jax had the second place. I'm pretty sure.
Hmm. Probably.
Yeah.
And then there was 8B with the first sub 3 as well. So these are all these massive milestones that Aurora was getting out long before anybody else was really playing B-sides too much. There was people who played B-sides and submitted B-side ILs, but the vast majority of them were doing it on full game strats and doing them as full game practice, whereas Aurora was seriously optimizing them as individual levels. So definitely at the forefront of B-sides there for a long time. But the story of how my second place with a 331 and Aurora at first with a 259 wound up with me then having 331 first place on SRC, along with a few other people getting the quote unquote world record in ILs. This all happened because Aurora had a moment of extreme frustration related to just like a situation with Zcad. It was another very, very high level IL runner where Zcad had submitted a 3B IL that I think was it world record or was it just second place?
It was world record, but it was world record and beat Crictor's time.
Okay, yeah, so that was what happened. So Crichter, Xbox player, beat Aurora Dash's 3B world record. I think
Oh, was it
like
that
Aurora might have
far?
had a 156, and then Crichter got a 154, something like that.
Wait, I have to check. Honestly, I can't
It was
remember.
it was Crichter. You were right on
Okay.
that, so I
Okay.
remember that to be the truth there. So Crichter had beaten it, and then maybe it was either a few days later or a week later or something after Crichter got the 3B record that Zcad then beat the 3B as well. But at this moment, auroradash kind of exploded out with some frustration regarding how competition between Aurora and Zcad had gone on previous ILs. And this I can't exactly say what Aurora's perspective was on this, but I know that some of the details were like Aurora Dash would get some really big PB in something like 6A. Like Aurora got some really good 5-2X in 6A. I don't remember the exact time Aurora got, but then Zeke had beat it within a week or maybe within a few days. So it was one of those really impressive times that Zeke then comes out and beats pretty quickly, which might have just been coincidence. You know, maybe they were both running 6A.
They were both running 3B. I know that much. They were both
Yeah.
grinding
Hmm.
and it was a day after Quick got his time.
Okay. Got
Yeah.
it.
But
Yeah.
Zcat didn't share it in public, um, and but Quick did. So it came to a surprise that Zcat actually got the world record then on the next day.
Yeah. So Zeke was just kind of grinding 3B in the background. But for those who had not known this, it was kind of interpreted as Zeke comes out of nowhere and gets a record in a couple days. At least that's what Aurora sounded like he thought was happening there. Which I guess that might be one interpretation, just seeing it like that, but it wasn't the truth. You got to be able to look a little bit deeper. But anyway, so there was that. That was the final straw. But the couple background moments I was talking about, there was, yeah, like I said, 6A. Aurora gets first place and then gets beaten by Zcad a few days or about a week later. And then you have Golden Ridge. I don't remember exactly what time Aurora got, but it was like something like a 214, and then Zcad comes out and beats it with like either a better 214 or a 213, something crazy. It was just crazy fast times. But Zcad came out and beat Aurora's within only a couple days. So this had happened a couple times where Aurora puts this really really competitive time out there, and then Zcad beats it shortly thereafter. And I think these were just multiple coincidences of they were running the same level without realizing. But Aurora took it to be Zcad going after Aurora's times like viciously and with a pace that didn't make sense. So if we just take it to be Zcad starts to grind these levels as soon as Aurora has gotten his PB up on the boards and then takes the times back, it would be an unreal expectation to be that good at those levels so quickly to get a world record. And that led Aurora to believe Zcad was cheating, which has definitely been proven not to be true. But that was the issue. Aurora felt that Zcad was cheating and putting up times that were like impossible to get in such a short amount of practice, when in reality it was just Zcad practicing these in the background and probably a lot of coincidences. But that resulted in Aurora getting very upset, accusing Zcad of cheating, then essentially quitting Celeste speedrunning, deleting the game and deleting a lot of his runs off the boards.
Yeah,
And then pretty much only leaving behind his Benny Percent world record for the category extension Benny Percent,
yeah, and
deleting almost every IL. And then suddenly a lot of people had first places when their times were a lot slower in B sides. So it was a little bit funny, a little bit strange looking at the boards for a while. But yeah, that's the whole history of that, I would say. Yeah, did you have something to add in there, Tio?
I just wanted to say the for the 20% world record is the only world record from Aurora that still stands. The last world record that
Mm,
was beaten was the 4B world record by Prof. Shoutouts to you. Or
shout outs to
shoutouts,
me.
yeah.
Thank you, Tio. Shout outs to
Um
you being so close behind.
yeah. Yeah, we did this 4B grind. I think next time we can just do history part
Mm.
2 because we have still a lot of things to talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, like you said, all of Aurora's records, IL records, have since been beaten. Let's see, 8B was taken by Praimi, this another IL runner who doesn't really interact with the community all that much. Very, very quiet about things. Just kind of posts incredible times every now and again. So yeah, got another sub 3 8B, and I think beat Aurora by zero point 0.8 seconds or something, and something to that degree. Then there was 7B that I took at some point last year. Then we had 6B was beaten by Zcad. 5B, I don't know if Aurora actually had the record in 5B. I think Zcad did still.
Mhm.
But yeah, 4B was the last one to stand at that point, and that went down in February of this year. So just a little bit around a month ago.
Yeah, where we pushed it down by so much, which was so
Mhm.
good.
Yeah, so all that remains of Aurora's legacy is Benny Percent. Very impressive run. It's beatable by modern standards, but still, Aurora did all the crazy, not all the crazy stuff, but a lot of the crazy IL strats in there. So it's an interesting watch for sure.
Yeah, like even with modern standards, this is a really good one, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
Aurora was ahead of his time.
Anyway, though, I think that's about it for today. There's a lot of fun history between us and then B-sides and whatever else, the tutorial making. So, yeah, thanks everybody for watching. See you next time.
See ya.